Day of November 2021. It's my hope that you had a great night. Arise and shine. The broadcast begins right away. This is Morning Cafe with me, Linda Alela, and right here on TV47, the home of untold stories. And I'm sure by now you must have gotten the good news. If you've not, then here I am to tell you that, of course, TV47 is officially on Gotv, and therefore those of you who've been calling me to ask, on Gotv tunapatikana wapi? Well, here we are, channel 107. You can tune in and get to enjoy the best of our programming. Remember, we always are here to make sure that you are covered, educated, entertained, informed, and that's the reason I am here this beautiful morning. We're not going to do anything short of the same, so make sure that you tune in and do not miss out on the action and the greatness that comes along with this channel that is the home of untold stories. All these untold stories that actually also give you a chance to as well tell us what story you want us to tell to the world, and we'll definitely be there to make sure that we do that. So make sure that you always be part and parcel of the TV47 family, and we are grateful that you have made us the fastest growing television in the country. My name is Linda Alela, and like I said, the broadcast begins right away. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela at TV47KA. Well, as you talk to us, as you interact with us, we sample some of these comments as we continue with the broadcast. As always, we'll be discussing the politics of the day. We focus much on the conversation of the legacy. President Uhuru Kenyatta over the weekend, or should be on Friday there, tells the people of Kenya, or the people of Ruiru, so to speak, it is important that, you know, as the voters, we are keen to make sure that we get leaders that are indeed worth, leaders that are not going to water down or quash the efforts or the gains that the previous presidents have done, citing President or former President Mwai Kibaki and equally his 10-year legacy. He says it should be important that we are keen to understand ideology and what it is that these leaders are bringing on the table, so that moving forward, at least they are able to proceed with the legacy that the two key leaders have set. Well, others questioning whether the president has a legacy at all, others arguing that indeed he's done well for the people of Kenya. And so it's one of the conversations that we'll be having this morning. Just get to see what legacy are we speaking about, and importantly, what are the chances that Kenyans are going to make a proper decision that will help them have the greatness that has happened before be escalated further, and above everything, the things that we've done wrong are of course amended. So it's my pleasure to take you through this conversation and everything else that's happening. We'll also be looking at what is happening on the aspect of the climate, as leaders in Glasgow are there having this conversation about 12 days of the best of conversation. One, the key thing standing out is the aspect of making sure that humanity is preserved, and in the hugest way taking care of the climate. We'll have that conversation later on with the EcoSave CEO, who's an environmentalist, Daniel Wanjuki. And later on, we also just get into understanding the interest of our children. And in this case, we focus much on mental health on our children. It's important that we create this awareness. In most cases, we look at them as children, and we tend to feel like, you know what, they have it all figured out because after all, we are taking care of them. But they also have the difficulties that they go through. And these difficulties will determine whether they are going to be sober, you know, our citizens later in life, or that will alter their possibility of soberness. So we'll have this conversation that is really, really crucial. And so we open the lines for you to call. And once again, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KA 22047 is the SMS code. As of course, we continue with this broadcast all the way to 10 a.m. It will be a pleasure to listen to you as well. First things first, the newspapers. The Morning Cafe will always take a look at what has been captured on the Daily Nation, what has been captured on the Standard newspaper, what has been captured on the Star, what has been captured on the People Daily, and many more. We start off with what is on the People Daily, and the front page of the People Daily. Here we are. Let's briefly see what the front page of the People Daily speaks of this morning. And panic and unrest as more schools are torched. This is a story that has been there for the better part of the weekend, looking at what happened in Buruburu, and at least 10 secondary schools have suffered arson attacks across the country in the last 2 weeks. A story captured on page 4, something that has hugely been condemned, but equally raises eyebrows and questions as to what really could be happening in our institutions. It's sometimes a common thing, and especially when the students kind of feel like they are overwhelmed. But I mean, is this the case in this particular one? Well, conversations are still on and investigations as to what could have brought up the fire in these respective schools. This, as we all look at the aspect of mental health, that is very crucial, and the fact that also others argue that students have been locked for, like it's been a series of back-to-back activities in schools, and you find that if they find a break, is about 10 days break, that is something that has drained them, according to pundits, and this could equally be one of the triggers as to what is happening. But then again, the conversation is on, and we hope that this does not become the case, or these cases do not escalate further. And this conversation is still on. It has gotten to levels of DCI, who are set to revisit Wanjiru's murder case. The conversation has been on this as the UK government also commits to this conversation and saying that they're going to help in the investigation process to make sure that justice then is found for the lady Wanjiru. And it's a story captured on page 6 of the People Daily. On matters politics, and what we'll also be looking at is on the face of the man right here, one of the key figures in the country that wish to proceed and go it for the presidency, Musalia Mudavadi, the ANC party leader, and also a key ally or a key member of the One Kenya Alliance conversation, or One Kenya Alliance, so to speak, so that at least they get to see that they will have one of their own, going out there for the presidency. It appears like he is one of them that looks like would get that chance. Remember, the One Kenya Alliance said that in about 7 weeks or thereabout, they'll be telling us who's their presidential candidates. But it appears like it's going to be a tough rope for, Mudavadi to work on. It is a tough decision because ANC leader Mudavadi is under intense pressure to drop his presidential bid in favor of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Does he give in to the pressure from Uhuru or ignore him and soldier on? Is a story captured on page 3, according to to a member of ODM, that is John Badi. Says, can Musalia mount a formidable campaign? What does he have that is different from his 2013 bid? But interestingly, you need to understand that yes, they have backed Right Honorable Raila Odinga before. That is under the NASA coalition. And the question is, how different will it be this time around, and for how long will they be shelving their own interests for Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Well, one who said in 2017 that his was the last bullet, but it appears that he is still on the race. And even as Musalia is set to shelve, or is expected to shelve his own interests, the conversation again is even rife within the One Kenya Alliance itself, because the likes of Moi say that they will as well proceed for the presidential bid. The likes of Weta, the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka as well would wish for this. So what would it mean for him to shelve this interest, and in favor of who? And will the rest of the other principals of One Kenya Alliance agree to this? It's a conversation that is on, as they say, that from deep within there is pressure that is mounting for him to be able to do that. KEMSA mass sackings and plan sends shockwaves. More than about 900 workers, about half of the authorities' workforce, are targeted in purge that comes in the wake of COVID-19 scandals. We understand what has been playing out at the KEMSA, and of course the question is, are we going to get justice? Are we going to get answers as pertaining to this? It is a conversation that has been captured on page 5, and we still are seeking to get answers as to what culminated, on the KEMSA scandal. This as court extends voter listing by 7 days pending a case. Remember, there were those requests to the IEBC, as a majority of Kenyans have exhibited some level of apathy, in the sense that they've not gone out there to register as voters. What more of a difference will 1 week bring? We can only wait to see. This, as many youths argue, that they really do not have time to go out there and queue and register as voters. They have so many things to do. Some of them are out here hustling because of the tough times, that is the tough economic times, and therefore the least of their worries or their interest is on the question of making sure that they will go to the ballot, or they will go to cast a vote that is in August 2022. That is what has been captured on the People Daily. Let's just look at what page 2 says. Court orders electoral body to extend voter registration, that we've touched on. Why Mudavadi is a politician at crossroads. Equally, we have touched on that. I won't resign for backing Raila bid, declares Matiang'i. Well, there's also that conversation that there's so much pressure that is mounting on CS Matiang'i to resign, coming from the Tanga side, that, of course, as they argue, these are, government officials, and therefore they serve the interests of the public, and therefore they should not, outrightly appear as though they are pushing for a presidential bid of a certain individual. So we'll be having all these conversations as we continue right here. Let's briefly look at what the Standard newspaper has. I have the hard copy and the Daily Nation as well. And so the Daily Nation front page: heads want schools closed to end crisis. Candidate dies in dormitory fire as violence rocks learning institutions. It's a tragedy indeed. And of course, on the aspect of grievances, a demanding crash program, omission of mid-term break from the term's calendar, and removal of sports and other co-curricular activities cited as some of the reasons for wave of students unrest in the country. And teachers now want students sent home to ease pressure caused by the schedule introduced to make up for the lost time. A story captured on page 7. Well, it's a conversation that is on right now. And I mean, amidst all these, speculations, it's also very, very important that we dig deep to get the answers as pertaining to the same. Remark angers Ruto allies. Some argue war on graft is a ploy to relay his bid for top seat. Is a story captured on page 5. We understand that those who are allied to Deputy President William Ruto and Deputy President William Ruto himself have hugely been alleged to have taken part on matters corruption in the country. But according to them, this is just pressure that is mounting to make sure that at least they derail his bid for the top seat. But they say they will not relent in any way. Taxpayers' loss. How claims ballooned from 1.4 billion to 34 billion as state officers watched. A story captured on page 10. The aspect of graft still, and the conversation is on. We'll be delving deep into understanding the details of the same as we continue with the broadcast. This as voter listing extended by Sunday. Well, IEBC had listed about 1.2 million out of the 6 million voters that it targeted. A story captured on page 4. And many argue that, well, it appears that the number is not as interesting, and therefore this push by the courts, we wait to see whether it will do much in terms of topping up to the people who will be new registered voters. Well, Uhuru camp sets date to kick out rebels. We wait to see. A conversation on the Jubilee, them holding for the very first time after a very long time, having those monumental meetings that are expected, and we get to see whether indeed it's going to be about a purge or not. So the National Management Committee and its parliamentary leaders are set to kick out the renegade members from party positions and equally ratify its coalition. That is the deal that is set to be there between them and Orange Democratic Movement. On this one that I've touched on earlier on, prosecution boss AG failed to act on Wanjiru's murder. On the conversation of the climate at Glasgow, we'll definitely delve deep into understanding that, but that should be later on alongside an environmentalist and so much more. On the aspect of campaigns, Matiang'i says that, well, in as much as you push for my resignation, I will not relent on my bid of supporting Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Briefly, the Standard newspaper: is Uhuru losing grip on power? Well, the last few days have been president's allies like Governor Waiguru decamp to Ruto's UDA, while others like Duale, who are measured in their response, have openly taken him head on. A story captured on page 6 is one conversation that we'll be having as court stops swearing in of judges, and of course Court of Appeal averts possible confrontation between executive and the judiciary. A story captured on page 8, and equally one that we do not run away from having a conversation on, and so much more inside KCSE exam revision question papers, the conversation on how our students are able to do their exams or to sit for their exams, and above everything, the coming in of CBC and how well it will be implemented at these tough times occasioned by COVID-19 is one that, does not, of course, leave our lips until we are able to get it right. Briefly on what we have prepared right here, Buruburu Girls High School in Nairobi has closed indefinitely following a fire incident, and students were forced to go back home following a fire outbreak that was witnessed that is on Sunday evening, as Elizabeth Atieno reports.
On Sunday evening at around 5 p.m., this video was making rounds on social media. Students from Nairobi's Buruburu Girls High School are seen jumping from a 3-story dormitory building in a bid to save their lives from the fire outbreak in their dormitory. Today, parents of the students were at the school's main gate demanding to see their children. A few hours later, the parents were allowed inside the school compound.
Sakuja hapa kulikuwa na watu wengi ndio, na tulielewa venye tuliambiwa tuende tukuje kesho asubuhi watoto come by 6. Tumelala hapa the whole day, the whole night, tukakucha hapa. So venye tumekuja, nobody from the school is coming to talk to us. Hakuna mtu anatuongelesha tuatuambie venye kunaendelea huko ndani.
The school administration maintains that no casualties were reported and those admitted in different hospitals are responding well to treatment. However, one student sustained injuries on the leg.
19 of the girls are at Metropolitan and they are stable, with one that had a seriously injured leg, but the rest are very stable.
Parents have raised concerns over the school's management.
We have letters signed, stamped. We took it to all the offices. You guys sent your TSC people here. They came, they left. These people did nothing. They went back to our kids. Our kids were being threatened. Till today, you think you're above board. This school is full of arrogance, full of intimidation. They were told, the teachers were told, the kids are planning to ban the school. What did the headmistress say? She called the kids and told them, Chomeni.
Buruburu Sub-County Commander Francis Kamau and Coast Regional Coordinator John Elungata have ordered for strong legal action to be taken against those found culpable.
Information that we are holding in confidence is an eye-opener, because kama hujaambiwa suruali yako imeraruka huku nyuma utajua kweli. We have seen mistakes here and there, and I'm assuring you that we are going to correct them. We are going to correct them.
Polisi tumekubaliana nao wawafuate hawa watoto wanaochoma shule, kwa sababu kuwapata si ngumu, wako baina ya wanafunzi. Wakamatwe, washtakiwe, kwa sababu kuharibu mali ya shule ni kama kuharibu boma lao.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Well, we'll keenly be looking at that to make sure that you're up. And we keep you up to tabs. Well, former Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich and have been actually charged afresh in a 63 billion dams graft case. The funds were meant for the construction of Kimwarer and Aror dams, and this comes after Anti-Corruption Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi allowed the prosecution to amend the charge sheet. The Director of Public Prosecution, Nordin Haji, has been directed to withdraw the case of the former Principal Secretary Kamau Thuge and to be made a prosecution witness. And Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i now says he will not be intimidated as he dismisses calls for his resignation by some political leaders, speaking during the groundbreaking of Limuru Sub-County headquarters and accompanied by his Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho. Matiang'i reiterated that he is unbothered by critics from politicians, saying that he is dedicated in assuring the safety and security of Kenyans as the country gears up for 2022 polls on his his part, PS Kibicho says that the CS has discharged his mandate on ensuring the country is peaceful.
Tusitishwe and don't be intimidated at all na porojo hii ya huko na huko, porojo tu, watu wanaendelea huko. Hata 2017 mulisikia wengine hata wakisema eti unajua eti hata yule mzee wetu head of public service Mr. Kinyo who can't even hata fly eti abenda mikutano usiku sijui na nani. Porojo hii tumezoea, hii inaletwa wakati wa uchaguzi.
Ile kazi umepewa na rais tufanye. Kama ni kunyorosha watu tunyoroshe, walie. Hiyo ndio ile kazi tumepewa na rais, na tutakuwa accountable kwa hawa wananchi na kwa Mungu kama tutawalet down.
And more on politics, an Eldoret court has ordered the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to extend the time for mass voter registration. The exercise, which was set to end today, and the IEBC, however, has fallen short of reaching its target of over 4 million new registered voters.
A voter in Eldoret went to court seeking more time for the ongoing mass voter registration. His request was granted. Court has ordered IEBC to extend the deadline to 9th of November from the 2nd November.
Nashukuru kotini kwa kutupa muda wa kuextend hiyo muda ili watu vijana wote wakate kura wachagua watu wao.
The court has been kind enough to give a prohibitory order against IBC not to close its exercise of mass voter registration that was due to end tomorrow.
And with a few hours to go to the deadline of mass voter registration, long queues of people were witnessed in some centers as some tried to beat the deadline set by IEBC. The exercise has been on for 1 month. Meanwhile, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, wants teachers to be at the forefront in encouraging young people to register as voters, as it is their democratic right.
We want now to go for general elections. And elections is about numbers. Numbers. Register as a voter. Register as a party member and ensure that you also educate your people.
In the same breath, political leaders from Kandara in Murang'a County want the IEBC to extend the period of voter registration.
Ningetaka kuwauliza watu wa IEBC, ni vizuri wawache kuambia watu waenda wachukulie kura Mombasa ama kule kwingine. Watu waletewe kura hapa nyumbani hapa na wawafikie mpaka mashinani. Hawa vijana wakiambiwa waenda wachukulie kura huko, hata hawana pesa, wengine hata hawana fare ya kwenda huko.
Watu wa ABC watuletee hizo tumashini huku mashinani, watu waweze kujiandikisha. Juu wako na safari nyingi, wengine wanaenda kazi lakini hawawezi, so wakituletea hizo mashini huku tutaweza kujiandikisha.
Kuna gharama ambayo inahitajika kutoka mtu anatoka hapa Gaishanjuro anaelekea Kandara ati ndio anaenda kubadilisha ile kula yake. Tunaomba IBC waweke stations hapa ili watu wetu waende wabadilisha kula.
However, an IEBC official in Elgeyo Marakwet says the registration will continue even after tomorrow's deadline, but the exercise will be taking place at IEBC offices.
Baada ya hapo kutakuwa na ile normal process ya continuous voter registration ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea. So sasa tofauti ni kwamba hiyo itakuwa inafanyika kwa ofisi ya kila eneo bunge, haitakuwa viwandani vile imekuwa sasa hivi. Kwa hivyo continuous voter registration itaendelea katika kila eneo bunge, na hiyo itaendelea mpaka karibu miezi 4 hivi tupige kura. Ndio tutafunga kusajili kabisa kwa ajili ya kutayarisha mambo ya kura.
Since IEBC started the mass voter registration a month ago, they have not been able to reach their target of more than 4 million new registered voters. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
And the unity of the Fai clan of the Digodia community is in limbo after a backlash on the endorsement of her son Welie to represent the community for the gubernatorial position. Sheikh Mohammed was among the 3 candidates for the gubernatorial position of the clan, says he was unfairly ruled out.
Just a day after the five clan sultans declared Hassan Wahlieh as their sole candidate for the gubernatorial race for Wajir County in the 2022 elections, the endorsement aftermath was not as smooth as expected. 5 candidates had sent their application to the five clan sultanate and awaited their verdict and their fate to be decided through negotiated democracy.
For the last 6 months, they have gone to a very rigorous and elaborate process to identify the decision and the flag bearer for this family.
Hassan Wahlieh, who met his supporters today, and his allies say they will drum up support for his candidature till the 2022 general election, despite cracks on the unity of the community.
Mimi nitasimama na yeye bega kwa bega, bako kwa bako. Tutakuwa na yeye mpaka dakika ya mwisho, na naomba kwa niaba yake na kwa niaba ya wale ambao wamemzindua yeye kuwa tumuunge yeye mkono.
Ugas Sheikh Mohammed was endorsed by the Sultanate in the year 2017 and stepped down for impeached Governor Ambassador Mohammed Abdi Mahmoud and believes it was his time for him to be endorsed unanimously. It is alleged that he was promised to be endorsed this time and his promise unconsidered before the whole vetting process.
It is quite unfortunate and indeed unacceptable that the membership of our Sultanate, whom the community bestowed trust, betrayed that trust both in the past and in the latest time, which was yesterday. We see the process was unfair, arbitrary, and entirely based on some other considerations beyond what will be of use to the people of Wajir County and the Fai Nation.
The five clan sultanate have defended their credibility and integrity, saying that they have put steps for anyone not contented with their decision to appeal before them.
And as a process, we have put in place measures on how to go about, on how to appeal in case one is not happy with the process.
The Gotv community has led Wajir County through elections in gubernatorial position since 2013, and clan elders have solidly stood behind selected leaders through negotiated democracy.
Of negotiations and dialogue under trees, we expected that this thing will work for us, but unfortunately, I will say authoritatively that this is not working right now. And this has been seen in Mandera, Wajir, even Garissa, and elsewhere.
Risadin Haji, TV 47, Wajir County.
Thanks, Isadine, for that. Now, a third petition seeking the removal of Director of Public Prosecutions Noordin Haji from office has been filed at the Public Service Commission by a Nairobi businessman. The petitioner, Ahmed Noorani, a director of Jack and Jill supermarkets, accuses the DPP of bias which amounts to abuse of office. Noorani claims that Haji declined to charge a former ally and business associate, that is Yarendra Sangani, over an accrued debt amounting to around 240 million shillings through post dated to the petition. Haji is accused of failing to charge Sangani on grounds that there is no sufficient evidence. 2 petitions are still pending at the PSC, one filed by the late Topcoins family and the second by another businessman, Francis Njeru. Haji has, however, already obtained court orders restraining the PSC from hearing them.
And I assure you that the next DPP, if I do fall at all, will come with more gusto to pick from where I've left.
And the Court of Appeal has temporarily halted an order by the High Court that had compelled President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint 6 judges whom he initially rejected when he appointed 34 out of the 41 judges recommended by the Judicial Service Commission, JSC. The appellate court issued the conservatory orders until the appeal case filed by the Attorney General challenging the High Court ruling is hard and determined.
I, Laibuta Kibaya Imana,
The saga surrounding the swearing-in of 6 appeal court judges has taken a new twist, this time round President Uhuru Kenyatta winning, albeit temporarily. A 3-judge bench of the Court of Appeal made up of judges Imana Laibuta, Wajiro Karaja and Rosalie Nambuye issuing conservatory orders restraining the president from appointing the 6 judges he rejected. Last week, 3 judges of the High Court ordered President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint the 6 within 14 days and advise the Chief Justice Martha Koome to swear them in case the president disregarded the High Court order.
Prejudice.
The Attorney General, through lawyer Emmanuel Bitol, filed an appeal challenging the High Court's order, prompting the Court of Appeal to issue the conservatory orders until the case is heard and determined.
The exercise of the judicial function.
The 6 rejected judges include Agri Muchelule, George Odunga, Weldon Koril, and Joel Ngugi, who are to serve in the appellate court. Chief Magistrate Evans Makori and High Court Registrar Judy Thomange were also left out when the President gazetted and approved the swearing-in of the 34 judges in the month of June. The President, through lawyer Waweru Gatonye, argued that the court has no jurisdiction to give the powers to another person to appoint and swear in judges. The lawyers pleaded with the court for stay orders, lest the appeal was rendered nugatory. Katiba Institute, which had filed the case, opposed the request to have a stay order issued, saying the High Court judges committed no wrong when they compelled the President to appoint the judges. The Court of Appeal will issue a full ruling on the 14th of November. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
1B, notice number 5.
Party is set to settle its leadership wrangles once and for all in a delegates conference expected to be held soon. And according to Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju, the conference will also lay bare the party's plans in 2022 general election. But he insists that will stay put despite calls for his resignation from a section of members of the Jubilee Party. And as Musa Salah now reports, the Jubilee ODM coalition talks are in top gear, with the negotiations escalating to be between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM boss Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
The ruling Jubilee Party's National Management Committee on Monday met at the party headquarters to plan for the 2022 general election, as well as the National Delegates Conference expected to take place after the committee puts a 21-day notice to the delegates, including President Uhuru Kenyatta. According to the committee, the party is set to make major changes in its leadership. A section of party members have been planning to oust the party's Secretary General Raphael Tuju. The convention also comes at a time when the ruling party has been hit with internal wrangles. A section of the members, including members of Parliament Kanini Kega, Sabina Shege, and the party's Vice Chairman David Murathe, have been calling for the overhaul of the Secretariat as part of rejuvenating the ruling party that has since been hit by an exodus of members.
This is a political office. I would be a very, very worried person if nobody expressed dissatisfaction with my work. I would be a very, very worried person if nobody was hitting me every other day, because that would mean that the position of Secretary General is not important. So I think I welcome any criticisms. It comes with the territory, and I'm ready to live with it.
Tuju, however, hinting that the talks between Jubilee and Orange Democratic Movement (ODM) over a possible coalition ahead of the 2022 general election are in the advanced stages, with President Kenyatta and ODM boss Raila Odinga taking charge of the negotiations.
Discussions with the ODM are ongoing. There are discussions which have been done at our level, and there are discussions which are done at the level of the two party leaders. It is beyond my pay grade to divulge to you anything which has come up at the level of the two party leaders.
The National Delegates Conference is also likely to discuss and seal the fate of Deputy President William Ruto as Jubilee Deputy Leader. The Delegates Conference, which will be chaired by President Kenyatta, may vote to remove Ruto as the Deputy Party boss. Ruto on Thursday last week, during his tour of Makueni County, said that he is ready to ditch Jubilee Party for his United Democratic Alliance UDA to advance his presidential bid. On Saturday, President Kenyatta, during a brief stopover at Ruiru, Kiambu County, cautioned Kenyans against electing thieves who would water down the gains he and former President Mwai Kibaki have made.
We want to continue to support the president, and we want to make sure that this country can be assured that the next leadership of this country will not be those that Kenyans may have doubt on. We don't want Kenyans to elect thieves to run this country going forward.
The ruling Jubilee Party is in advanced coalition talks with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's ODM party, with Jubilee expected to unveil its plans for the 2022 general election in 21 days. Musa Salah, TV47, Nairobi.
In Africa, Honorable Raila Odinga has called for the establishment of an African Special Fund for regional projects in the continent, addressing the spotlights on Africa Infrastructure Development Forum held at the Dubai Expo 2020. Odinga affirmed that the fund will cushion key development ventures. He further briefed the conference on the second phase of the program for infrastructure development in Africa, set for implementation from 2021 to 2030. And Deputy President William Ruto was on a tour of Nyamira County, that is Monday, where he accused One Kenya Alliance leaders of spreading tribal politics. Ruto wants the One Kenya Alliance leaders to disband their parties for one outfit amid claims that they were summoned in State House by President Uhuru Kenyatta, as Paul Kirobi now reports.
Just a day after One Kenya Alliance principals hinted of a possible hand pushing them to support ODM boss Raila Odinga in the 2022 presidential poll, Deputy President William Ruto has challenged the Oka principals to fold their political parties and come up with one national party.
Hawa watu wanataka kutugawanya. Mpaka sasa hawana chama, kila mtu yuko na chama yake ya kabila yake. Kila mtu anazurura na chama yake na ya kabila yake. Sasa nyinyi kama kweli mnaamini katika kuunganisha Kenya, mbona msiunde chama kama hii yetu ya UDA ambayo inaunganisha Wakenya wote?
Speaking in Thika, Kiambu County, NC boss Musalia Mudavadi said he will not be cowed to support a candidate hinted of intimidations. However, in a statement this evening, the One Kenya Alliance have refuted claims that they were summoned in State House by President Uhuru Kenyatta after their rallies in Kakamega over the weekend. Ruto accusing four principals under One Kenya Alliance for driving tribalistic agenda and fighting for their selfish interests.
As the UDA,
even though President Kenyatta has not openly declared his preferred successor, DP Ruto's allies have called on President Kenyatta to stay away from succession politics.
Waruhusiwe kuchagua kiongozi ambaye wanataka. Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya tunamheshimu sana, lakini amalize kazi yake polepole, aende nyumbani.
Tunataka kumuomba rais wetu afanye kazi yake polepole na utaratibu. Ikifika next year sote tunamheshimu, apatiane naibu wa rais ile mamlaka, yeye aende nyumbani apumzike kwa amani.
Deputy President William Ruto has begun his Nyamira County political tour, holding rallies in areas of Chebilat, Nyasiongo, Kijauri, Metamaiwa, Keroka, Riabe and Rigoma in Nyamira County.
Ambia tutaunganisha stima. Tumefikisha watu 1,101.
Paul Kirobi, TV40.
That being the last story that we are looking at this morning, and we get to the conversation